Well, hi everyone. Just like to kind of give a brief introduction of my fellow teammates who are currently in Sydney enjoying the beautifully warm winter weather. So I work with an artist called Jenny and a developer called Melody. So I'll be referring to them throughout the presentation. So Regency Love, as some of you may have heard me speak about over the last day, it's an app for the iOS, which means it's iPhone, iPad and iPod Touch. It was first released on the 16th of December in 2013, incidentally Jane Austen's birthday. See what we did there? Additional content was released 2 months ago in May. So far we've had really wonderful reception from our fans on Facebook. We've got about 1,000 fans on Facebook. We've sold about over 3,500 copies, which for an indie studio making games, about Jane Austen isn't that bad. As you can see, I've passed around some printouts of comments from our fans on the Facebook page, because I mentioned to them, that I'll be speaking here, and I said, hey guys, if you can spare a moment or two, let us know how the game has affected you. And I expected maybe 2 or 3 comments because I was going to kind of do screenshots. And then I got lots of comments and I was like, okay, I might as well print it out. And one great thing that's happened so far for myself and the rest of my team is that we've really been able to engage with the audience, we've been able to engage with the fans, and they've given us feedback, and as a result of that we've been able to kind of develop and improve the product. I mean, on our blog we have this page, it's called kind of like the bugs and typo reporting post, so they can find bugs and typos and kind of let us know about it, and then Mel goes off and she does her programming magic and fixes things. So it's all very, very interactive. Okay, so the game itself is focused on the story of a gentleman's daughter. So you play the protagonist as a gentleman's daughter. The game begins a year and a day after your father died. So you're out of mourning, you're kind of, wearing colours again, or, not very bright colours because you're moving from, say, black to, say, purple colours. So you're out walking around the town, you kind of meet people, you speak to your acquaintances, and through the decisions that you make, you get to kind of go in different ways in the plot. Okay, you get to, if you wish, you may pursue a particular gentleman, or you might wish to pursue, your personal accomplishments and endeavours. So really, it's up to the user how they want to shape their game. So when we were creating the game, and even through continued development of the game, we found that there were 3 main challenges we came across. So the first challenge is remodeling the story world, because we've had to kind of take the Regency period and make it an iPhone game. Right. The second challenge was negotiating the text, because Regency sentences can be quite long, but you only have a wee bit of space on the iPhone. And the third challenge we came across was constructing the visuals. Okay, I mean, obviously what we make now can't be super duper true and authentic to the Regency. So I'll be talking about each of those 3 points. So, in terms of remodeling the story world, we had to kind of, we sat down, back in, this was like April 2011, we sat down and we thought, okay, how do we gamify the Regency period? How do we gamify the Regency period so that it's not just, it's not just a novel, okay, it has to have game mechanics, okay, people have to do things in order to, progress further on in the game, and we decided to kind of use an altered representation of the Regency by kind of picking out the most distinctive and interesting parts of Regency daily life. And we decided to go with this system called accomplishments. So as you can see here, the accomplishments would be kind of the daily behaviours and concerns of the gentry, and we decided on focusing on these 6 different accomplishments. So what you could do in game is, you can sit down and think, okay, well, today I'm going to sit and work on my needlework, or I'm going to improve my reading skills. You need to gain motivation points in order to work on these achievements. Now, to get motivation points, right, you got to answer trivia questions about the Regency. So it's kind of exposing the user to a wide variety of things in the Regency. So some of the questions would be relatively easy, like, I'm just trying to think of an easy question. Who was the protagonist in Pride and Prejudice? Right? And so Elizabeth Bennet, if you answer that, you get maybe 2 motivation points. Other questions would be slightly more difficult. For example, rank the incomes of the gentleman from Jane Austen's novels, and you have, Mr. Darcy and Colonel Brandon and Mr. Knightley, so on and so forth. And then there were some trickier questions. I mean, I don't even know the answer to those. Mel did a lot of research. I mean, she loved trawling the internet for these little facts and tidbits. So she would find something about, the latest, needlework trend and make it into a question, and then, for those particular, the hard questions, you get more motivational points if you answer them correctly. The second way to get motivation points is to do kind of like a hangman kind of game thing. So there's a quotation with a blank, and you have to find, out the word itself. And most of the quotations we use would be either kind of Regency texts or kind of like pre-Regency texts. So, there are lots of things from Jane Austen. There are kind of quotes from like kind of manuals from the time on behaviour. There are quotes from other authors like Edgeworth, and I'm a big Thomas More fan, so I try to stick in as much Tom Moore as possible, so things like that. And that really exposes our users to the Regency. That's the accomplishments. Now, the other thing we did in order to remodel the story world is to focus on particular character traits. Okay, and these reflected the values and attitudes of the Regency. So here's just a list of some of the character traits. I think we have about 38 character traits. Recently, I like talking about cake in-game and pastry, so we've added gluttonous. That's the latest edition. And so you get particular character traits kind of naturally throughout the game. So say you meet your friend Mary in the street, and she makes a comment about a dress that she wants to acquire, and you might say something witty in response, or you might be really austere and say, no, Mary, you have no money, just don't do it. Or you might be really compassionate and say, oh yeah, I would love that too, so on and so forth. And through that, you then get to kind of develop and create your own your character's personality, and that kind of feeds into the themes of the plots, because we wanted to include themes that would have been pertinent to folks from the Regency, and those themes would include things like issues of wealth, reputation, principles, appearances and deceit, social mobility, marriage, love, the occasional cake. So the second challenge we had was negotiating the text, and that was something I had to kind of tackle as the writer, and I can be very verbose. If you have a look at, I'll show you. This is some of the text space. You can't fit too much on that, and you don't want to. And we don't want to overwhelm our users, some of whom may not have read anything from the Regency before. We don't want to overwhelm them with just like blocks of text. So one way we kind of decided to go around it was just keep it simple. Take out all the complicated syntax. I try to keep it authentic, or as authentic as possible. And I did include all the pleasantries and all those in daily interaction, but for the most part, I had to keep it down. Now with the top box would be what that character says. That is actually it's okay to write something really long because I can break that into different chunks, right? But with the response, now, if it runs over, it runs over. So I have to keep it really short and succinct. And Mel, she's shouted at me over Skype many times because she'll be like, Sam, this doesn't fit. It's too long. Just reduce it to 180 characters or something like that. Another way we got around that is by using a lot of non-dialogue descriptions. So we have a lot of descriptions, and when the text is on the bottom, we know that is a description. A character isn't actually saying that. Okay, so that kind of allows for some movement, and as you can see, the text box is also a bit larger, so we can fit a bit more in if necessary. We also used this kind of model called, the word NPC stands for non-playable character. So there are loads of characters within Regency Love, and they speak to each other a lot. I mean, it will be kind of boring and really tiring actually if you play the game and you're always the one talking and you're always the one being addressed to and having to choose responses. So to add spice and to add more to the game, we've included a lot of kind of NPC conversations and dialogues. So here's an example. So here we have Miss Ingram. She's not particularly pleased. She's quite angry. So she says here, "It is absolutely not your business, Tom. Go back to your whatever it is that you do with your sorry self all day." Now Tom responds with, by the way, they're on first name basis because they're childhood friends, so it's not like I just met you, Tom, So Mr. Winslow responds with, "Now Phoebe, it's not proper for a gentleman's daughter to raise her voice as he just did. Let us be calm and reasonable." And of course, Phoebe, she's not particularly pleased with that response. She goes, "Yes, and I know exactly how to achieve that. Goodbye, Tom." Okay. So in this particular instance, you as the protagonist, you get to witness all these interactions between and amongst non-playable characters, and that adds depth to the story and to the story world without you having to kind of interact with everyone all the time. Right. So the second challenge we came across was that of constructing, the third challenge. Can't count, I know I work in English lit, numbers 1, 2. Would be constructing visuals. Now, Jenny is a really talented artist. She is amazing, but she's never worked in the Regency before. She's not painted Regency-esque things before. So how do we kind of expect kind of like an iPhone audience to respond to kind of like Regency visuals? So Jenny decided to create her own kind of Regency-esque style, which is somewhat cartoonized in some ways. So the characters themselves, they're kind of cartoonized because each character has a whole bunch of facial expressions that change depending on what they're saying. But for the backgrounds, she's opted for kind of a style that pertains more to realism. Right. So in terms of finding references, she found references in paintings and drawings of the time. So Janie's thought that some very helpful artists include Edmund Layton and Marcus Stone. Those names to me are gibberish. You guys might know these artists, but Janie did quite a bit of research. We use museum artifacts, and I'm based in the UK, so I can just hop off to London and be like, okay, I'm going to go to a museum and take photos of everything. So here's a coach that maybe a really snobbish character might be using in the early 19th century. And also we've got some clothing here that's more Regency. It's actually quite funny because Jenny would say to me, she'll say, okay Sam, I need, say, picture frames. Okay? I don't need to see what paintings look like, but I want to know what the frames are like during the Regency. So I remember I was like, I don't know where I was, like I think it was a V&A or maybe the British Museum, and I just thought, okay, I want to walk around and take like 50 photos of different photo frames. So I'm like the weird person, like I'm really weird as like the touristy person taking photos of everything, but not even of the actual paintings. Like here's a frame, okay? And then Jenny also said to me once, actually Sam, I need chairs, but not just the actual chairs, I need the chair legs. So there I was for about an hour, and she was really happy. I think she ended up drawing beautiful chair legs, which is great. But just, we use the things around us. I have a feeling we may have a scene in the future set in a library that looks like this, And if you do come across it, well, inspiration comes from everywhere, right? Okay. She also used references from film and TV adaptations. So to the left here we have a scene from Joe Wright's Pride and Prejudice. And to the right we have Mr. Mortimer's haberdashery. So Jenny took the ribbons in the background and thought, you know what, I want to create something like a shop kind of thing. And there we are. She's so cool. She makes like magical things. It's really amazing. Jenny's also used color palettes. So she's looked at photos of things and she's determined kind of a visual kind of color palette. And I think she was striving for balance and also a sense of nostalgia in the art. She also used things like textures and symbols. This is her work. And the silhouettes were a huge thing. So she was like, okay, and she just, she would draw that and we'd be like, okay, yeah, cool brainstorming session. And then some of the final scenes in the game are like this. This is a drawing room. So as you can see, she's used the colors and textures. Here is kind of a woody area, so it's more kind of paintery. And here's Mr. Ashcroft on his horse. He's not my favourite though, my favourite is Mr. Curtis. Right, and I mean, so far, I guess most of this has, I think we've been rather successful in creating this kind of interpretation of the Regency because our fans they're interested. They're really interested. They're into it. They play it a lot. They replay it. They send us emails, and we've gotten such amazing feedback and all sorts of different feedback. I mean, once I got this. I can't remember where it was from, but I mean, we're on the web. We're on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, and you can contact us on email and all that. And one user was talking about how she looked up the references to poetry, right, that I included within the game. There's a character who likes literature, and so he quotes a lot of stuff. So she went and looked up those things. And then at the end of the game, I don't want to spoil it too much, but a particular character writes something original. Now, because it's kind of original Regency stuff, I wrote it. I wrote a sonnet. So she went and tried to find the sonnet. She couldn't find the sonnet. And she was like, where can I find this sonnet? And I'm like, well, I wrote it. Right? But what was great about it was that I thought, okay, these people who may not actually have, they might not spend their day-to-day life engaging with the Regency and with, kind of 18th, 19th century literature. They're actually actively going out to search for these references. They're engaging in a way that they enjoy and that's kind of self-motivated. So that's been quite cool. Okay, so I'm just going to end by showing a wee video of it's kind of like a teaser trailer kind of thing, and then you can kind of see how all the things I've mentioned come together.